Sure, this is recording. Okay, it's recording. Hello and welcome to our monthly ops coaches call. We take your questions that you submit to us, we judge them harshly, and then we come up with answers for them because we're that good of people. So, welcome to that kind of a talk. I'm Dr. Dave Osborne, joined today by coaches Monica Cahalan and Jeff Harwell. How we doing, people?
Doing
Amazing.
well. How are you, bud?
Always great, always fantastic. I know nothing else. Uh, I'm
Very
excited
zen.
to dig into these things.
Yeah.
Be fun. So let's kick it off. Our first question of the day is how to keep the chest up and not sink down when using heavy weight in the bench press or just when feeling fatigue. Jeff, would you like to start us off?
Yeah. I think a big key is doing this with your shoulders right here. Boom.
Oh
Pulling them down.
shit.
Making sure.
Oh shit. Who showed you that?
Some doctor on the internet. I can't remember who it was.
Guy.
Ridiculous. So packing the shoulders is a very helpful thing for that.
Packing the
Interesting.
shoulders, yeah, and keeping the breath in the chest. Keeping the leg drive initiated to support your thoracic extension or thoracic arch. There we go. That's the word for it. I think those are the big three that we need to focus on.
Yeah,
Um, yeah.
I like that.
I say taking your time in your setup too. I think that's where people really kind of two things with that. Taking time on your setup, and if it's heavy and you're fatigued, get a handout. Like you should have a handout.
Yeah.
A lot of my online people are constantly self-handing out.
I hate it.
Stuff,
I
and I
hate
hate it.
it.
Me too. I'm like,
That's
you have somebody right there. I can see them in the background. Just ask them for a handout.
that's not what this sport was built on. It was not built on self-handouts. It's terrible. It just shows that you don't know how to say hi to another human being. And I don't want to hear it either because the thing I hate about that too is like, oh, well, then I got to teach someone how to give good handouts. Oh, boo hoo. You actually have to help someone out with your own knowledge and make their life a little bit better so that you can actually get ahead. Holy cow. You have to be the rising tide that brings fucking ships up and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, crazy concept that you might actually have to help others for you yourself to get ahead. I don't want to hear it.
Yeah, because I mean, that's one thing that can undo your bench. You can take all the time to set up and you give yourself a handout and it
Oh,
undoes your shoulder, then you're already fucked. So, like, those are my two things: set up, handout.
I have benched 500 pounds multiple times. Every time I do a significant amount of work of self handout and you're a heavy, strong bencher, you're wrecking your shoulders. Right? Like that's why we have hooks. That's why we have spotter platforms on powerlifting competition benches, is so that you can have a hand out there and save that shoulder and not have to reset it to a crazy degree once you've received that weight. It's part of a good setup is having a good handout. And you see it all the time. Crazy how Jennifer Thompson can get whoever is spotting her at whatever world event that she's doing that she's never met before. Just some random Danish high school kid there to spot at IPF Worlds. And she can go 1, 2, 3, huh? And he goes, huh? And then she benches a fucking world record. Crazy how she can figure it out, right? But you're too nervous to go talk to the guy, doing bicep curls
Or you
with
have to take your,
25s.
your
Or you got to take your headphones off and actually speak to a human being. Oh, woe is you. The other thing I wanted to talk about with um, dropping into the feet is a lot of this comes down to bar path as well, right? And especially if we take this into context of being fatigued within a set, right? And we think about how that starts to look is you start getting fatigued in a set, maybe your elbows start winging a little bit, right? And you start locking up more and more over here, over your shoulders, over your chin, right? And then you're starting from there and you're coming down in arc and you've already flared a little bit. You've already shrugged up on these traps a little bit, right? And you haven't reset that bar, and now you go to start here, and now you have no control, internally rotates, dumps down towards the feet. So another thing to think about, right, when you're getting fatigued is you need to reset bar path and bring it right back out. Give those shoulders time to redepress, pack into the pad, and touch. And if you can stack into your upper back when you touch and not drop, right, by touching really low on that sternum or almost into the belly and dropping into your feet, right, that will help you stay in your upper back. The better we stay in our upper back at our touch, the quicker we are to get back over the shoulder and have leverage against the bar as we press up. But if we touch too low, that wasn't me. If we touch too low, we have this giant bar path to get back over that shoulder. So we're going to flare hard. We're going to shrug up on our traps, all these terrible things to try and get that bar to lock up, right? So even in the context of that fatigued bench, we still want to always make sure we're stacking into our upper back. And if you have to reset in between reps, take another full brace, it's worth it because you've lined up a good bench press.
There's a great video on our YouTube channel. I think it's titled The Pull-Out Method with Tanaya. Literally. And it goes over that exact concept of kind of seeing how it comes down like almost like a Nike swoosh.
Yes.
It comes down to the chest, press off over the face, bring it back out.
Yeah. I hate it when people do that opposite and they arc down and then press straight up. It's like, cool, now it's harder both ways.
Yeah.
Always fun. So that's a thorough explanation of that concept, I would call it. You don't just get that from anyone's YouTube channel for free, but you do here with us where we tackle the uncomfortable questions,
yes,
like your lack of ability to communicate with other human beings during a training session.
Yeah,
you're welcome
on that.
Yeah, human growth, that's what we're about here. Hormone. We're gonna move into our next question, which is, what to you as a coach or even as a lifter constitutes a successful meet? Coach Monica.
A lot. Well, this goes on a topic that I've been kind of working on, talking about here in the near future, because we have a lot of people in competition prep right now, and it's the beginning of kind of powerlifting season. And what constitutes as a successful, it was successful prep or meet? Successful meet.
A good prep.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Dave. You just answered that for me.
Mm.
A successful prep is all it takes.
That's not true.
It's not true. Actually, I've done the absolute opposite and done fine.
Yep.
I think what constitutes a successful meet is knowing what you're going in it for. You know, really outlining what you're gonna be happy with at the end of the day. Because some meets you're gonna go into with a really long season, and you're gonna put up some big totals, hopefully. And you know, that's a pretty good way to say, like, oh, I'm just gonna go for some major PRs on all three. Easy peasy. That's not always a successful meet. Or the concept of a successful meet. It's really, you're there to show up for you. And it, you know, like, all of us want to win. That's why we're in a competitive sport, is because we want to place on the day. We want a shiny medal. You know, we want to know that our hard work paid off for something. And I think that's really what it comes down to, is simply that. You know, what did you work hard for? What were your goals this prep? Is it just to, you know, really laser focus in on one of those lifts? Or are you trying to go 9 for 9 for once in your life? Or, you know, like, it just depends on what the goals are. And I think if you are really honest with yourself and have a good conversation with hopefully the coach that you have, and really discussing that out, so you can reverse engineer it, or discuss, you know, what it takes to hit those goals, whatever they might be. That's really what it comes down to, just planning for it, planning for your success. You know, not picking some outlandish numbers just based off of what you think you should be doing for your weight class and your age, or how long you've been powerlifting. You know, those aren't always the measures of success. It might even be like, I haven't been under the bar for 10 years, and this is just my re-entry onto the platform. Because I just saw that happen this summer, and it was really freaking cool. You know, like, I think sometimes it's just knowing what you're wanting, and knowing if it's something that's achievable, reasonable, you know. And that's how you measure up at the end of it all, is how well did you stack up against what you said you wanted. And I think it's really easy for us sometimes to get out of our own lane, when it comes to competing, because we might go into the prep going like, I'm feeling really strong. It's time to express what I've been working on. Let's do this, and you get into your prep, and then, you're a couple weeks in, and then you start scouting out the roster, and oh shit, there's 5 people in my weight class now. And then you start stalking them on Instagram, and then, oh shit, they don't post anything on Instagram. I'm gonna go to open powerlifting and I'm gonna stalk them that way too. So all of a sudden, you've built up this whole narrative of competing against other people. It has nothing to do with you anymore. You're just stacking yourself in the roster. And I think that for me, I talked to Dave a lot about this the last couple of days, especially because this is a reoccurring conversation of meat prep is, it's really easy to self-sabotage our own success by getting in our own way and going to compete for everybody except yourself. It's really easy to get caught up in that stuff. And this is where I would challenge anybody to just forget about everybody else. Focus on the numbers that you're doing. What's a triple going to produce? What's your double going to produce? Start talking to your coach and your people about the math that it's going to take to accomplish the things that you're going to do, instead of just worrying whether you're going to place first, second, third, or none. And the times that I started focusing on just myself are the times that my most successful meets happened, and I would rate it as the most successful for me. Like I've won meets where I've done really bad, like embarrassing for my coach bad, and I still won, and that's not a success for me. It's the biggest, most obnoxious trophy I have too, and I hate it. And it's, that's not a successful meet. A successful meet is knowing that I went there for myself. I attained the goals, or at least attempted the goals that I was after, and I was prepared. And I feel good about that. That's a successful meet to me.
I love it. Jeff, what's a successful meet to you?
Um, Everything Monica said, and on top, I think the big thing, if you know if it's successful meet or not, is if you walk away and like a week later, you're like, God damn it, I can't wait to do that again.
Yeah,
Like the fun factor of it, I think
the
has a
fun
lot to say with
factor.
it, or a lot to do with it as well. Um, but yeah, like everything Monica said as far as the training and the goal setting and all that. But I think to just kind of elaborate more on what she says, I think having strict goals or expectation is hindering you from having a successful meet, right? I'll use myself as an example with Fight or Quit. That was my best total and best dots at the time, and I was like, this sucked. Everything about it was terrible. Nothing was great.
Been there.
So yeah, I took and it took like 4 months for me to like just get that crap out of my head to be like have fun training again because I was so disappointed that I didn't hit these numbers that I said I was going to hit in my head. And I mean, by all other metrics, it was a successful meet but I took the fun out of it because I didn't hit the numbers that I wanted in my head. So yeah, keeping your expectations realistic, I think is a big thing for a successful meet. And after all said and done, like, do you have momentum going forward? Did
Yeah.
you leave something there? Like, are you wanting to go back to the platform and do it again?
I think attempt strategy is a huge part of like a successful meet too. And that's where, like, if you're self-coached, this is where you're going to have to do a lot of, planning and soul searching and stuff and being honest with yourself there, because the way that we structure it as coaches going into a meet with our attempts already planned, like way ahead of time on a spreadsheet, we all have ways to pivot. Like if something doesn't go according to plan, we have a easy, a hard mode and an easy mode, and it makes it that much easier for us to make calls on the day, which are still difficult when it's not us competing. You're but I mean, I think going in with a solid attempt strategy and knowing what your non-negotiables are, for the day.
Yeah. You guys both hit the nail on the head, I think, when it comes to the fun factor. And what's fun? Completing lifts, not missing, not missing for stupid rules bullshit, and not missing because of poor execution that wasn't a strength issue, right? And not missing because you're taking poor attempt selection because you're thinking with your ego and not focusing on what meet day actually is, which is doing the best possible job with the attempts you're given to put up the highest total for that day. It has nothing to do with the numbers you had planned on right? It has everything to do with how you show up that day and maximizing what's there, which means taking responsible jumps, not coming into it with this feeling of, oh, I have to take big jumps to save myself
Or make up for it on the back
or
end.
make up for it on the back end. As soon as you start getting into that kind of thinking, right, your odds of missing just start skyrocketing, right? And then you have big gaps. Now you have 40-pound gaps in your attempts, right, of what you really could have lifted, right, if you had taken another 7.5 kilos off that big attempt and just dropped it to something reasonable. Now you have a PR total at the end of the day instead of going 4 or 5 for 9 and maybe getting a 5 pound total PR or being just under or getting a PR on one lift but then fucking it up for two others.
Yeah.
So to me, like, the fun factor is big, and it's fun to hit attempts and go as close to 9 for 9 as possible. I've still never gone 9 for 9,
Me neither.
but I've had tons. Jeff's the only one. Jeff's the only one who listens to his fucking coach.
Go, Jeff.
Yeah, Jeff's the only one, right? And it's still like I can still have fun meets because I'm also recognizing too, like, how accurate was my goal setting
Yeah.
compared to what I did on the day, right? If I had this big goal total, did I meet that? Did I get close? How far off was I? Right? And I think that's a big component is we never give ourselves enough time for our goals, right? We
Mhm.
put time limits on them, and sometimes it's not enough time. Or sometimes we didn't treat them with enough urgency, and now we're 8 weeks out, and now we trying,
Yeah.
right? It's just errors of preparation. And so I think a big thing for what makes a meet successful was how well did prep go? How well did prep go and then performance at competition go based off that prep? Because sometimes prep goes shitty and comp goes great.
Yep.
Cool. That is a sign that your recovery and your stress management during prep is poor, that you can't manage training variables. But you get a week off of lower training, right? You take some time off work, all these other things. Oh, all of a sudden I had a great day. Well, shit. I wonder how that happened, right? And just being honest with yourself in that process. And then, too, I like to think of, especially as you start to do more and more competitions, right? Not just the prep, how was the travel? Was
Mhm.
I stressed out traveling to the competition? Did I have to cut super far to make weight? How responsible was my cut? How responsible was my rehydration and refeed after
Mhm.
weigh ins, right? Like, how on point was I with all the little things that make travel competition a whole different monster than a local meet, and trying to improve those skill sets as well, because as you improve those skill sets your meet performance will then also improve and will be more consistent from competition to competition.
Yeah. One other thing I would say on that note is I was that's kind of how the weekend ended last week, was talking to a few of my lifters about nationals that's coming up. And it, when setting goals, you also have to keep in mind, like Dave was touching on, is like good attempt selections, things like that. And knowing that a lot of times when people fail things at competition, or their progression through their attempt selection doesn't go well, it's not on strength most of the time. And as a ref, I could say that truthfully too.
Sure.
It's not on strength most of the time where people miss lifts or miss attempts. It's technicalities, it's missing depth, it's rushing a command, it's all the bullshit that we think we've got together when we're in prep. And the silly little mistakes we make on the platform, those are the ones that ruin that 9 for 9 potential. So planning for knowing and being willing to take something again, that
Yeah,
would be the other thing too. Swallow your pride in that attempt selection and knowing that that's just part of building your total, making good attempts to standard.
to standard. Or you can just cherry pick whatever federation you want so they make it easier for you to compete and you don't actually ever have to lift to a high standard.
That's fair.
Yeah, we know people like that.
Yeah, it's happened.
They don't watch this, so I can talk shit about them.
You mean I can't make 27 reels in like 6 weeks about bad prepping?
You're sure on your phone a lot. Do you ever train? let's go to our next question. Let's talk about meal timing around evening training sessions. I'll start on this one.
Yeah, go for it.
I think something to consider when you have evening training sessions, right, is yes, we want carbohydrates available in the body, but if it's in the evening, we've probably had 3 meals by that session, right? And maybe even 4 if you're going to eat dinner and then go train, kind of a thing. And so you really want to think about that carbohydrate timing a little bit closer to your workout window and not being so early, not being so loaded first thing in the morning. And maybe have a little bit more fats, a little bit more protein first thing in the morning. And then as you get into your day, slowly increase that carbohydrate intake. Um, I know some people are really anti caffeine for evening training. And so maybe something to think about is a non caffeinated stimulant, nootropic type thing. I think those people are fucking babies and they should just chug a C4 energy drink like everyone else,
Yep.
and just train. And you know what? If you train hard enough, you'll be tired. And when you're tired, you'll go to sleep. And if you don't go to sleep, oh, there's so many thoughts running through my head. Cool, that's part of your recovery is learning how to silence those thoughts. That's part of being an athlete is knowing how to turn on and off, right? Our arousal systems. How do we cool down afterwards? That's breath work, that's mindful meditation work. These are all tools, right, that run counter to, it just keeps me awake or I get anxious or blah, blah, blah. It's like, you could deal with those things, right? And then still get the benefit of the supplement or just raw dog it, right?
Or just
I
don't.
guess, but you're never going to compete in the evening. Very rarely, right? Unless it's a primetime session, some big nationals event kind of thing. But it's very rare you're going to be competing in the evening, unless you maybe travel and do international events as well. But I would say for the majority of lifters, you're going to be lifting at fucking 9 to 11 a.m.
Yeah.
And that's when your sessions are going to start. And so that's something to keep in mind as well, right? Is like your body may not be awake when you come to competition day,
Yeah.
and you should probably start warming up earlier and doing some stuff to be prepared for that. But as far as like evening training goes and nutrition, like you need fucking calories in that body. Let's go, Monica, then Jeff.
Really, I would say really similar stuff to that is that if you're on a structured meal plan or something like that, you're watching your macros, trying to stay within bounds of something, then yeah, the best thing to do is have lower carb load in the beginning of the day and slowly increase it to your last meal. The truth is that nutrition is continuous regardless, so it doesn't matter when you put those calories in your body as long as they go in your body on a regular basis in the same amounts. So like um, there's ways to do it, but I kind of agree with Dave. It's like evening training is really bad for your circadian rhythm anyway.
Yeah. You should sack up and train in the morning.
Yeah,
It's kind of
just
another
for the
option.
benefit
Oh,
of
I
the
work in the morning. We
yeah.
all work in the mornings.
Yeah.
No, I'm just giving people a hard time that don't exist.
But as long as you're getting your calories and your hydration is really huge too, because a lot of times people will be like, I ate all my meals and I don't know what's going on. It's like, well, your electrolyte balance is all screwed up too, because you probably have more sodium in your body than water, as far as like balancing things out. And that's the idea behind hydration and salt intake and stuff of that. It creates balance. So yeah, I think regardless of when you train, having a decent amount of carbs before within an hour and a half, like a decent amount of carbs after within an hour of training is kind of pretty standard way to go. I used to work till 9 o'clock at night sometimes, and it was a long 12-hour day to where I didn't get to eat till I got done. And so sometimes it was literally stacking 2 meals back to back, like 400 grams of rice and chicken and stupid stuff. And I managed to be fine at 145 pounds and like eating at night. It didn't seem to be super detrimental as long as I got the calories in. And at the time, my nutrition coach was advising me the same thing because my schedule was stupid. Was just get all the calories in,
That's
however you got to do it.
step number one, no matter what, right? Is that caloric intake. From there, you can tweak and refine.
Yeah, and those refining tools that we have when we're doing nutrition right are the things that definitely set us apart from people that are just getting the calories in whenever. There is a difference. Does it work? Yeah. But are the other people a little bit more optimized and their performance probably a lot better? 100%. There's no doubt about that. But like, yeah, at the end of the day, as long as you get all your nutritional needs for the output that you're doing, your energy balance will stay good.
Jav,
I hate training at night. It's stupid. Don't do it. I mean, I think it's the same for just about any time. Like you guys both said, more protein, less carbs in the morning, about 3 to 4 hours beforehand, the training session, more carbs, then less protein, and then 60, an hour or so before, jump those carbs up, whether they're, fluids or not. Um, but yeah, I do the same thing more or less in the morning training. It's eat a real meal with real food 2 to 3 hours before, and then carb up right like an hour before.
Yep.
It's so yeah, I think Dave was the one who said hydration is the biggest thing. I
Monica said that.
think, well, sorry, whoever said it.
And
Both said
timing,
it.
because some people eat a
Hydration
late.
is, I think, what people need to focus on more than like
Yeah.
necessarily carb timing, in my experience. But
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Especially if they work jobs where their water intake is poor.
yeah, construction
Teachers,
guys, yeah.
right? Teachers that can't go to the bathroom every 45 minutes, right? There's gonna be a fluid delay there. Happens all the time. Or people working in chemical suits and stuff like that, right? Like there's tons of situations where people don't have the freedom to go piss whenever they want, and so they neglect hydration to a certain degree. And then you're playing catch up right before you get to your session. It's not fun. And there's
Right.
definitely a performance deficit that comes from it. That's a great point.
Yep.
Good. Good. All right. This is our last question, and it's probably what I would consider the best question. Um, what makes a good team slash lifting group, and how do I build one? Coach Jeff, what makes a good team and
I'm
or
good.
lifting group, and how does one build one?
Um, Accountability.
Mm,
I think accountability is the biggest thing. Like, if you're just going to get a group of guys together or people together and just gas each other up the whole time, like, sure, you're having a good time, but like Monica was saying earlier, most lifts that we see missed are on technicalities, not because of strength. So if you're not sitting there and holding your training partners accountable, then what are you doing? Just gassing each other up. And I think that's kind of silly and a big waste of time. Um, Skill diversity, I think, is a really good thing. Having someone like, that's really good at squats, really good at bench, really good at deadlifts, and being able to help each other within that training session and like watch each other and like, cue each other, I think is a really big thing. Um, ooh, I guess shared expectations is probably another good one. Um, like we talked about earlier with like the meet, like if you guys are going in again just to gas each other up and like, oh, we're all gonna hit 700 a day, and you got a guy who can barely squat six, like again, like have good expectations, hold people accountable, and I think those are the characteristics of people that make up a good training group. How to build one isn't that complicated. I think holding them together for a long period of time is harder, and I haven't figured that part out yet. But start with 2, 3 people, training at the same time consistently, the same days and same times.
I like that.
And like you said, or like I said, hold each other accountable, be there at the same times, and people will see you and eventually want to try to be part of that group, and you'll start building from there.
Monica.
I love this. Oh, my favorite. Because I think what we have at Ops is really special,
Yeah.
and I am massively protective of it because of that. Because it's because we built it, and it's really cool, especially traveling and seeing how we're definitely different in a lot of ways than other powerlifting groups and teams. And I don't mean that in a exclusive way necessarily. I just mean we've really produced some great community, and that comes from leadership and setting the tone and standard of how to treat people and being, supportive. And I think if you talk to any of our lifters down at the gym, they would say all those things. But I think something that, as far as like on a technical, how to build a group of people that stick together, well, you make it times available. It's not 24-hour gyms, and we don't have mirrors all over the place, and nobody wears headphones, and we listen to terrible music together, and we laugh about it, and it opens up conversations, and it allows people to say like, hey, deeper, or watch this, or whatever it is that your training partners are calling out to you, because we're communicating together the whole time and we're watching each other. And there's something also really special about when you limit the time available and everybody has to train at a certain time. It naturally kind of builds that community. It shows people being vulnerable together and working through hard things together. And it also, on a really like biological level, we all get so much like mirror neuron activity from watching other people move. And I think that's a huge benefit to what we have going on for all of our lifters. And another factor to why they get good so quickly is they're constantly not only watching other people move well, they're watching us shape those lifters into moving better and moving well and learning things along the way that don't apply necessarily directly to them in the moment, but they're watching and they're listening and they're spotting and they're handing out and being a part of the whole entire thing. um, and so we've got people that in our gym that compete, we've got people that don't. And it doesn't matter if they do or they don't, they all fit in together and support each other in the same way because they're in a shared space doing hard shit together. Um, but I think so many things that you said, Jeff, are right on the money as far as like accountability. There's an accountability to your group and your people, not only just to show up, but to do, give it your best, expect the best from your training partners. And it takes, all it takes is one person, and then it turns into two or three, and that three turns into five or six. And we don't have people spilling out the doors of our place, but the people that are in there have been there for a really long time. And the people that tend to come don't really seem to leave, and we don't bring them in by the masses. It's one or two at a time, and they get comfortable and familiar with the system that we do and how we run things and the culture, and they listen to us talking to each other. They're getting so much just by exposure.
Yeah. I think you guys really made a great point with accountability. I think one thing with accountability, right, is like Monica said, showing up with energy, right? Not just for your own training, but for your partner's training, because you'll feel it if someone's just being an Eeyore, right? Or a real Debbie Downer in that session, and they're using it as a time to create a bitch fest instead of focusing on performance or, oh, that my day was blah, 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 blah. I'm sorry about that. But if you talk about it for 5 more minutes, I'm going to fucking scream. Get it out, because we're here to squat heavy today.
Yep.
Right? Leave that shit at the fucking door. When you walk in to train with your group, that's what you're there to do, is train. You have to be focused and you have to give people your attention. You have to be invested in your training partners' results. And when that starts happening, not only will they be invested in your results, but when you bring in new people, that also grows. And I think the other part of that too is like, you have to train competency, right? Like if I need someone to check my depth, they need to know where depth is,
Yeah.
right? So maybe I test them. Are they just bullshitting me? Right? Maybe I set up a side camera and film my depth, but I also have someone there calling me. And you could see right on camera, okay, are they calling me at a good depth? Right? Or are they just gassing me up because it was super heavy? Right? And I'll trick people sometimes. Hey, was that depth? Oh no, you're good. It's like, no, I wasn't. Why don't you care about how well I'm doing? Right? We have to empower our training partners to give us uncomfortable truths.
Yeah.
To be able to speak truth to power, right? That's how we give each other agency to create meaningful change, and then to be able to pass that on to others too. So once you know someone knows what depth is, knows what keeping a butt on the pad is, they're competent in these movements, now they need responsibility. And so you get a new person, cool. That's now the old guard's role, is to educate this new person in how everything should be, the standards we uphold, right? And now you're creating an organized structure within your community. Cool. These are the OGs, right? That have been around for a long time. They're here to help. These are the newer lifters. They're a little bit more intermediate and are just getting caught up. And these are the brand new newbies, right? And they need to be able to see that that hierarchy within the training group. Who's in charge? Who sets the tone of the training session? If the tone setter isn't there, does everyone train hard, or is it like, dad's gone, we can slack off kind of a thing, right? There's all these things that go along with a training group, but you're relying on one another. You're relying on one another to give good handouts, to be able to call bad movements, right? And point them out like, hey, that deadlift's not going to pass on lockout. Hey, you're dropping the bar too quick.
Your butt's coming off
your
the
butt's
bench.
coming off the bench. Your knees aren't locked. All these little things that sometimes we just can't feel, right? We need voices of reason and accountability there to help us out with that. And it makes us all better lifters. And we have to recognize that it's not there to tear you down, right? Or make you feel bad. It has nothing to do with that. This is simply the standard of competition that we have to uphold to keep our bodies moving well and to keep us getting good attempts at competitions. Right. And so like it needs to be a focused thing. And I think another thing is too, if you're trying to build a lifting crew, you all better be lifting out of the same damn rack. You better be lifting out of the same damn rack.
Sure.
You better be using the same damn bench, and you better be using the same damn deadlift platform and loading weights for one another. Work a rotation. Cool. This guy just lifted. These people are loading plates. Now she's lifting. These people are stripping plates, loading plates back on, and it's moving through, and you'll get a flow of your session. Everyone's involved. Everyone's focused on the lifter that's currently lifting, right? Everyone gets a bit of recovery. It keeps the session moving really well. People aren't going off to do something else, right? Or training 3 people on racks next to one another, right? Like you all lift the same damn weight. You're using the same damn rack. And even if you don't lift the same damn rate, Robin and I have no problem working someone into our mono rotation that squats a couple 100 pounds less than we do. No problem at all. Because what do? Take a plate off, put another plate on, wrap it down, change the height. Cool. I'm getting to recover while all that's happening, right? I get to see someone else lift, which is making me that much better of a lifter, and I can recognize what they're doing, any issues they may be having, or maybe they're doing something really well that I need to be working on. Okay, that's how you do that. Good. I can focus on that this set. That kind of stuff. And then you have people to like kind of run your questions by. How does that look? Is it moving fast? Should I go up? Right? And you need to be able to trust your training partners when they say you should hold back or you should go up. They should know where your failure points are, right? And you should feel confident with them around you that you can give your full effort and they're going to save you if you miss. So you have to know how to spot. You have to be clued into where each other's weaknesses are, right? And where each other misses on lifts so that you're always ready. Everyone's always safe. And if a miss does happen, it's quickly recovered and you're back in the rack, shaking it off, right? Like it's a complicated thing to have these training crews, but you need to be like training very close proximity to one another. Within touching distance is how you make a good training crew.
I would say even like just to elaborate on the hierarchy aspect of it is it depends if are you training your training partners? Are you trying to acquire a crew for training partner? Are you trying to have a powerlifting team? Because those are two a little bit different things. But as far as like, your core group of people, whoever is the leader needs to set the tone for your mission, your core values, the things that you want. I'll say that because that's what we have had to do, is make sure that we know what our mission statement is, how we are to serve people, and things that we stand by, because as people trickle in, it's okay to it's okay to have people that fit your group, and it's okay for people that don't. I guess is what I would say too, from a leadership standpoint, is make sure that the people that are in your group are supporting everybody. It's welcomed, and
They add to the group.
they
actually make your group better, and they aren't just a drain.
Yeah.
Don't add those people.
Yeah.
They need to fix that shit first.
Yeah. We have one thing that I would say too, like it ops, we have a funny thing that I think some people think it's kind of silly, but I don't really care. Is the people that get to use the kilo plates at the gym are the elite lifters. And it sounds a little gatekeepy, but we're not charging it.
It sounds gatekeepy.
We're not.
All the plates, Dave still paying off on his student loans so he can buy them. Oh, that sounds gatekeepy to you? Good, lift more fucking weight, and I can open the goddamn gate.
I was gonna say, here's the difference. I know some gyms that charge people extra money to use the powerlifting equipment, and that's their prerogative. We don't do that. We just say you need to work hard and earn the ability to use this equipment, because it's a level of, for us, it's a level of buy-in and effort and respect for the equipment, because we got nice shit. And
very nice stuff.
And
it stays nice that way.
It's true. But it's kind of
until Jeff breaks light. Yeah. To be fair, you never damage equipment. You only damage the building.
The environment. Yeah.
Which isn't yours. So that's
okay. Yeah, totally. I rent, right? Yeah. Totally. It's just fucking me on the back end. I get it.
Hey. You're a Marine.
It's funny because I have a lifter that asks me all the time, like, how about for my birthday? Can I use the Hannah the other day? I was like,
for your birthday, you get a fucking elite total.
Yep. And yeah, sometimes it's a little treat, sometimes not, but most of the times not.
Well, and that's the thing too, is we do have it as a treat, because sometimes equipment's limited. Right? So you're going to work in with a good lifter.
Yes.
That elite lifter might be using those kilo plates, and there's your opportunity right there. And so if you want to keep using those kilo plates, maybe you decide to keep working in with that elite lifter, like Cam's squatting with Robin and I on Saturdays, right? Because we need more people in that rotation to get our proper recovery. So that's his opportunity to get to lift with kilos until he hits an elite total. And that's the thing too, is like, an elite total is completely doable, right? Yep. It takes time and it takes dedicated effort. And once you do it, cool, you've really earned this.
What's the difference between that and a like a jiu-jitsu place having a black belt only area?
Right.
Totally.
Yeah, we're not saying it's not accessible.
Right.
It's earnable.
And it's there for the people that need it. Because until you hit an elite total, you don't need to lift on kilos. You're not strong enough that it's going to make a difference that's noticeable on your total. And if it does, and you think it does, it's because you're mentally weak. Cool. You can just yell at Dave, right? Oh, Dave's so mean. Call me mentally weak because I need red plate for rah, 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 rah. Yeah, I did. Outlift me. Cool. Outdoctor me. Cool. That's what I thought. Shut up and lift your steel plate.
Yep.
I'll play Dr. Mario with you.
Yeah, there you go. You'll probably beat me. You won't beat me on Tekken, but you might beat me on Dr. Mario.
I think I beat one round of Tekken.
Yeah,
not the whole
fight. Fair.
One round.
That's fair.
I don't think
I wasn't using Eddie Gordo. I tell you that right now.
That's
cheating. I know.
Cheating.
It's all right.
Yeah. That's cheating.
There's no Eddie Gordos in the jungle.
No Eddie Gordos when I play. It's not allowed. It's cheating.
I get it.
Capoeira is banned in MMA. You can't even do it.
Yeah.
For a reason. It's not dancing. It's cheating.
Capoeira. Yeah, I think there's a lot of things to think of when it comes to building a great training crew. And you're going to go through training partners. It's just part of the cycle. Some people are in it for a minute, right? And then they're out. Maybe they come back later. That's always a really fun thing. But your training crew is going to constantly evolve. And so it's very important that there are good standards in place and a way of doing things. And there's rituals behind the lifts, because it's how you build community. Shared suffering builds great bonds, but you have to be sharing in it together. Everyone has to be pitching in, doing their part. And sometimes, we'll we'll be able to lean on one another and like, oh, so and so is competing this week. Don't worry about loading your plates. We got you. And we can give to one another. We can create acts of service for our training partners that just further deepen those bonds, right? But you have to have a consistency in that crew, in that message, in those rituals of how you conduct yourselves. And that's how you can make really great training partners and change the culture of your training environment.
And great gains as well, because you
Yeah,
have those
huge.
people
The
that
biggest you're gonna
encouraging you.
make.
You know you're going to be safe. You know you can push harder. Like all that stuff's going to make you a better lifter as well. So
Not only that, but it's nice to have somebody that you're kind of like going after
A
too.
rabbit.
Like everybody needs a rabbit, and like, and when you don't, then you have to make one, and then you have to make that rabbit strong enough to where you got a new one, and that's just the way it goes. Like my daughter is at college, and she's training at the rec center half of the time, and I said, cool, great way to introduce some people to powerlifting. Like that's a great time for you need somebody to lift with. Great. Find somebody there. Introduce them to it. Somebody else squatting, cool. Work in with them. It just takes there's strength in numbers. And we can be so much better when we give ourselves the opportunity to not isolate so much, branch out, try and get strong with other people.
It's an
And
individual sport, but it's an individual sport where you're going to meet so many people and have the possibility for so many different friendships that it very quickly can turn into a team endeavor.
it's been such a positive thing for us in the sense that like I just figured out a way to bring it to powerlifting. Like team atmosphere in a individualized sport has been so freaking cool to be a part of that we're gonna do a meet at the end of the year that is a team event. You can only participate as a team. One person squats, one person benches, one person deadlifts. How freaking cool is that? It's never been done before. And we finally got permission to make it a sanctioned event so it all counts. And I think it's time. Like if we're trying to build powerlifting and make it bigger and better and give us more competition and more venues and more opportunities all the way around, it takes by us acting out of ourselves and doing things together and growing it together that way. Where I am super excited for this because this is what the sport really has brought me. It's people,
Yeah.
great people, great connections, great community, and not just for me, but all the other cool people I know.
It's part of preserving the tradition of strength training and the lessons we've learned from those who have come before, right? And how those are passed down. Those are passed down by meeting those people, having conversations, talking to them about training. That's what the back room of a meet should look like. Is all these people talking to one another, asking each other about their training cycles. What do you do for this? What do you do for that? Right? It's not sitting in a little corner with your headphones on, eating your Uncrustable, just chilling out, all secluded from everyone, right? You're not going to grow as an athlete that way. But you see people that are really strong, you learn their stories, you see where they come from, you see what standards they lift to and how they've done it. It's going to make you better. And that's, being an active participant in the community is going to make you a better athlete. It's going to make you a better coach.
Sure makes
Right?
mate day a lot more fun.
Yes. Back to how do we have a successful meet, right? I've always judged meet success on the people I've got to share conversations with, meet in real life, right? And the knowledge that I come away with after that competition based on those conversations. It's a time of fellowship at competition, and it's there to make you better if you can seize it.
100%.
Good. Wow. I've yelled at a screen quite a bit today. Excellent.
It's gonna go scream on stage now.
Yep. Yep. I got our last dress rehearsal tonight, and then tomorrow it's live.
Live.
It's gonna be awesome.
Exciting.
Yeah, this is a quality coaches call, everyone. Really happy with these questions. Once again, thank you everyone for watching. Next month, again, we do these coaches calls every third Wednesday of the month at 1 p.m. Pacific time. So we'll always have the link available for those who also want to come and watch. Ta-ta for now,
Ta-ta for now.
Bye.
and look forward to more ups content by us three.